This episode of the CMO Suite is brought to you by Uconnix. Uconnix provides digital solutions and teams to brand CMOs, VPs, and marketers looking for true transparency in the biddable media space. From paid social and PPC to complex platforms like The Trade Desk, brands from across the world have connected to Uconnix. Visit them today at uconnix.com. And No Kid Hungry. We're proud to promote No Kid Hungry and their many initiatives to help kids in need of meals. No Kid Hungry helps kids be kids, not be hungry. Visit them at nokidhungry.org. And finally, we're proud that Season 3 of the CMO Suite is presented by the CMOcouncil.org as their official marketers podcast. The Chief Marketing Officer Council is the only global network of executives specifically dedicated to high-level knowledge exchange, thought leadership, and personal relationship building among senior corporate marketing leaders and brand decision makers. The CMO Council's 15,000 plus members control more than $550 billion in aggregated annual marketing expenditures and run complex distributed marketing and sales operations worldwide. For more information on membership, visit thecmocouncil.org. Let's start the show.
You're in the CMO Suite, the podcast for marketers who want to be in the know, presented by Connectivity Holdings.
This is Sean Halter, and welcome to the CMO Suite. This is the tail end of Season 3. We're starting it where it all began this season in New York City. We are, as always, with iHeart Studios. It looks fantastic. Speaking of looking fantastic, Stacey Horton is co-hosting with me today. Hello, Stacey.
Hi, Sean Halter.
You said you weren't going to talk, and yet I brought you in that quickly.
I have to say hello.
It took no time at all, and what I'm really excited about is how we're ending the season. So, you know, we started things off with the CMO for the NHL, which was fantastic. We got to really hear some great insight on what's happening there, and I'm excited because we're wrapping the season with Alyson Griffin. Alyson is a trailblazer when it comes to the intersection of technology and marketing. She's a previous VP of marketing for HP and now serves as VP Global Marketing for Intel. With experience in digital, expertise in web and social, she's creating thought leadership across the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Alyson Griffin. Can we throw a little applause in there?
Wow, thank you so much for having me.
How was that?
It was amazing.
I think we're even going to do the little doo-doo-doo in post.
Excellent.
Can we add that in post?
Please do.
Do you keep that on your phone by chance at all?
I don't. You know, I hadn't thought about it.
Well, we got it. You guys sent it to us, her publicity team, which, by the way, their machines, that pun is intended there, by the way. Your publicity team, we've been lucky. When we first started the show, like we would call people or email people like you, publicists, and they would be like, who's this? And we'd be like, oh, we're doing a show called the CMO Suite. And they'd be like, who's been on it? We'd be like, oh, it's going to be some great guests.
Right.
And luckily, we had some friends in the industry, and they were able to help us build at least a little bit of a repertoire. And now we actually get publicists kind of calling us sometimes. But what was cool was I met you out in the West Coast not too long ago.
You did.
We were both out there for a CMO event with Evanta. Whenever I go to an event like that, sometimes I'll walk up to people that I think would be interesting on the show. I'll kind of give them my card. Usually they kind of look at me like, why are you stalking me? But you were really cool. You were kind of like, oh yeah, that's great. We'll give you a shout sometime. And literally like maybe, I don't know, maybe it was a week later, your publicity team was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, when are you doing the show next? And I was like, well, we need to do a couple more episodes. I don't know, like mid-December. And they're like, okay, well, here's the dates that are free. It's like, man, if I grow up someday, they are on it.
Yes. We're very fortunate at Intel to have amazing agency partners.
They are really, really, really good. We'll definitely hit on some of that early agency partner stuff. I want to find out about your backstory a little bit. You and I talked, we did a pre-call. That was something else. Your team was like, yeah, we like to do these. We're like, okay, great. So sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. The one beauty about having a guest like you on is if it's somebody that we've seen speak before, sometimes we don't do a pre-call because we know that you're a great speaker.
Articulate.
You're articulate. You'd be surprised.
Yes.
Our first season, we were maybe a little less choosy. We had a couple of guests that were like, yeah, these are going to be about 10 minutes because we just couldn't figure out how to get enough out of them. But I'm sure between you and I, this half an hour will go incredibly fast. So with that, we were out there. You talked quite a bit, which was really interesting. And then when we did our pre-call, we were talking about some of the backstory and some of the previous guests that we had. We talked about Jen Say, who's the global for Levi's, and just what an amazing story she has.
Yeah.
And you were saying you also had some amazing stories kind of growing up. So where did you actually grow up? Where are you from originally?
I am born and raised in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm a rarity, I think, these days.
I think so too. I mean, everybody seems to come there for tech, but you were...
I was born there.
Yeah.
And born into tech.
Really?
So that's part of the story. So in the early 70s, late 60s, my mom and dad, I'm an only child, very close to my parents, all of that. And my mom was an employee at Hewlett Packard. And so I saw in the early 70s, and it just kind of was ingrained into me that this strong female leader in Silicon Valley tech industry at a time when women were not taking those kind of jobs, were not having that kind of success. She was having that kind of success. And I saw it, and it was great. And there's definitely, if I've ever been asked about my background, there's this linear connection because my mom was at HP to my current tech career. I do remember in the 70s going to the company picnics up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, HP owned property. And Bill and Dave themselves, Hewlett and Packard, would flip burgers, patted me on the head.
Wow.
Yeah. And so HP was part of me growing up, and watching my mom's huge success there was obviously a subconscious, amazing experience for me to participate in. And of course, she ended up retiring after 43 years at HP.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And we calculated when I left HP, we had been there for 49 consecutive years.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was amazing. But what's also what I...
So you had a little bit of overlap? Or
yes, we had a lot of overlap.
Wow.
Yeah. I joined HP in 2000, and she retired now I'm forgetting the exact date, but later 2000s. So there was definitely overlap.
Did you see her at work?
Sometimes.
Did you work in the same kind of area?
Not all, no. And she was not in marketing, and I didn't get the job because of her. I had started at a PR agency, was on the HP account, and then HP hired me. In fact, that's kind of a funny story. I remember being put on the HP account, and I called my mom, "Mom, ha 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 ha, I'm on the
never gonna believe
HP
this."
account." Exactly. And then it was, "Mom, ha ha ha, they're hiring me." We just couldn't believe it. It was completely unrelated, random.
But it was also baked into your soul.
It was. That is. But the other thing, and that's a story that I have been asked about, just because it's so different.
Interesting, and yeah.
But the other part of what made me is my dad. And he's now retired, a small business owner. He owned his own.
God bless him. I can tell you how hard that is.
Exactly. And in sales, and he built.
Oh, really, God bless him. I can tell you how hard that is.
Exactly. Thank you. And so what I saw of my parents, and again, only child, so I got a lot of attention and support and the spotlight and all those kinds of things, which probably helps shape me. But I saw my mom do this very male-dominated industry in the early 70s, working, that kind of stuff with tech. And then I saw my dad, who was a master at reading people and understanding his target audience and storytelling and compelling, picking out the thing that would get them interested, if that makes sense. And so if you take a step back and look at me now, that's what I do all day long. I understand tech and have grown up in Silicon Valley. There's nothing that I haven't been a part of since, I was born there. Saw my mom and her very successful run in a male-dominated industry, and had my dad and his go-getter, entrepreneurial, do whatever it takes to close the deal, understand what the target wants, be compelling, look them in the eyes, take your sunglasses off, those kinds of things. Yeah.
And it also probably, again, clearly it shaped the feeling probably from your perspective that whether some people think this is a male or non-male dominated industry, you're just you. You're going to be the best you that you can be.
Yes.
That's all you've ever known.
Correct.
So anybody along the way that might have said, well, you can't, you're not going to be global, or you're not going to do this.
Yeah.
It was probably like, well
why not? Exactly. Yeah. Actually, the other big lesson that my parents helped me with was school. So I don't know exactly when it started, but I was going to be a pharmacist.
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that. Was it literally in my notes? Because did you graduate with the degree, or that's at least what you went for?
Correct.
Right?
So I went to University of the Pacific.
I was wondering how the pharmacy piece was going to kind of come back when you talked about the HP piece. So
it's coming. Okay. Yeah. So my very supportive parents sent me to a 5-year, year-round Doctor of Pharmacy degree. So long story short, I'm in pharmacy school. I'm counting pills, 5, 10, 15. And I'm like, oh my God.
Is this what it's going to be?
Yeah. Am I going to stand here for the rest of my life and continue to count pills? And so I decided it's just not what I want to do. Ended up going to San Jose State. I took one of every kind of class. It was like a business class, a philosophy class. I can't even remember, blah, 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 blah. Finance was one. And then I had an advertising class. And I walked into that classroom and it was as if the heavens parted and golden rays were shining down on me. I'm like, these are my people.
So you had done the pharmacy thing for 3 years.
3 out of 5.
And
year round, yes.
Then as you're counting and then you realize this isn't what I want to do.
Correct.
You talk to your parents. They're okay with it.
Yes.
But you didn't know what your next path was going to be at that time?
I didn't know. All I had ever known was pharmacy. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And I mean, I'm smart. So I had that.
Did you just say, and I'm smart?
I'm smart enough to, like, I knew I could figure out something. I had the science background. In fact, I think I have a minor in chemistry just accidentally, just from all the pharmacy
3 years
school.
that you were there. Yeah,
exactly. So science is fine and good, but I also had this passion and this skill of public speaking and writing and English and all of that. Again, I think that's my dad's side of me. My mom is maybe the techie side, and my dad was the articulate orator or something. I don't know. And then
it just popped.
It popped in, and when I took that advertising class, and I just thought, this is what I want to do. These are the people that I am more in tune with. This is the kind of work that's exciting.
Isn't it funny sometimes how that happens? We interviewed Fernando Machado, who's the CMO for Burger King, and his story, while not the same, it was interesting in the fact that he was a factory worker and they came and just gave a pitch on what they were doing, for marketing for Mondelez, and he was like, oh,
sounds
maybe
amazing.
That's what I should be doing.
Exactly.
So it's amazing how that journey can take sometimes, isn't it?
It can, exactly. And so that's
once you were in that class, then you realize this is my passion.
It is. It was my passion. And then it was, do I go transfer to another school and, for marketing or, find like the best marketing school, because I had found the best pharmacy school, for example. And then, but by that time I was older. I had met my now husband. In fact,
congratulations.
Thank you. In fact, next year is our 25th wedding anniversary and our 30 years together.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just amazing. Yeah. So by that time I'm like, look, I'm home. I'm in San Jose. Let me just quickly finish this out, and just get
on with my career.
Into my career. Exactly.
So you knew at that point. And so that's what you did. You finished school.
I did.
And then did I see that you were an account manager, maybe at an agency or something?
Exactly. So 2 different agencies. So I started, and it was funny. I thought that I was going to be in marketing for a pharmaceutical company. Actually,
which could have made sense.
Right. So I applied to McKesson. They were in San Francisco, and I thought, I'm going to go do PR or marketing or something at McKesson. And they never called me.
So you almost have this degree in
pharmacy. Yeah. It's like, oh my God.
Crazy how your life could have just been different.
Totally different. And so, but I knew it was a sorority sister connection, got a job at an agency in high tech. And it turns out like everything's for the best. High tech in the Bay Area is the smartest thing to do.
And you ended up then with a job at HP.
I did. I was on the account. Then they hired me. And so I was given the opportunity to work I started in the PC business, desktops and notebooks and those mobile devices. I then moved over to the enterprise, servers, storage, software, networking, and then moved into the printer business. And it was different segments, different business models, different, all these things, but I was still at the same company. So I had the same 401k plan, or whatever. And it was like really great. And the other opportunity that HP gave me was I moved my family to Geneva, Switzerland for a year. The region called headquarters, me and my boss, and said, we've had a little implosion in our marketing department for whatever reason, and we actually need help from headquarters. And that never happens, that a GO wants help from headquarters.
So you were working out of the San Francisco office, and then you'd said that Switzerland is like the European
headquarters
for HP. They said, we have an issue, send somebody?
Yeah.
And it was a marketing issue, I'm assuming?
Yeah, to rebuild their entire marketing department and coverage for the 87 countries, actually.
The 87 countries.
Yeah.
Is it odd that they would ask I hate to say somebody in America to help them rebuild the European piece of that,
It
but
could have been but here's the deal. So yes, they needed help, number one. And I was very fortunate. The head of the printer business globally is a gentleman. He was VMS Joshi, VJ, and really, really amazing guy. And he and I together, along with only one other employee, wrote the Print 2.0 story, the next wave of printing for the business. And I was working just directly with VJ. And so it was one of those things where I knew the story and knew the direction that headquarters was taking. And it's hard to get the sort of farther reaching places in the world to come along as quickly. So it was like, they need to go build their marketing team. And I obviously had that expertise, but they also need to make sure that when we build that team, they understand the story and the direction that the business is taking.
So you had almost written the manifesto,
exactly,
which is what allowed you the opportunity for them. So I guess you went, right?
I did.
So when they say, hey, do you want to go? Like one time I got tickets to go to Ireland and I said to my wife, like, hey, do you want to go to Ireland? And she said, when? And I was like, next week.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine just kind of uplifting. And I'm assuming you were married at the time?
I was.
No kids?
Two kids.
You had already had?
They were 5 and 3. So they were not yet in, it was right before kindergarten. Yeah. And I had to train the region team and then the country teams. So I did have to hire in like 4 countries, but was to be responsible and lead the team of the entire geography.
You were able to kind of go there, train a small group, and then that group was kind of deployed out there to kind of take care of everything else to some extent.
Yeah.
What was the precursor to get you to kind of come back to the U.S.? Was it?
Well, it was never a thing that I was going to stay there. It was go fix a problem, however long it takes, try to get it done, as quickly as possible. And a year just felt right.
And then come back.
And then for my husband too, and his career, it's like, okay, at some point we had to get the kids back. My son was starting kindergarten. In fact, I will say, this is going to sound crazy, but we came back in the month of August while we were that year.
Yep.
And my mom moved into our house, and Sean, my oldest son, the kindergartner.
Great name, by the way, but yes.
Yes, started kindergarten, and we left.
Really?
Yes, we went back to finish the assignment, and it was really weird, and it was because...
So your mom watched your kids for a little while for you to finish it up?
Only Sean. We brought Ryan back
because
with us.
His age was...
He was 3, yeah. And we didn't want to, we just wanted my mom. And to be honest, my mom...
magical thing in some ways, though.
She loved it. Like, Sean loved it, too.
How long was it?
It was only from August. Chris and Ryan, my husband and son, came back in the end of October. So it wasn't that long. And then I was back before like December, basically.
That's not that long, but it's a moment and a memory that they'll always have.
Exactly.
So then what was the precursor? You were there for so long. And then what was the precursor for you to make the move and to go to Intel? When did that jump happen?
I never thought I was going to leave HP.
We could talk for an hour.
I know.
They're good stories. Yeah.
So
I want to make sure we get some time on Intel because it's you were there for a very long time, and then what made you decide to?
So I was always a partner with Intel, right? So on the PC side and the server side, I didn't really make a move from an outbound marketing perspective without partnering with Intel anyway. So I understood Intel very, very well.
Were you already ingrained just in their philosophy, working with their people and everything that you guys were doing?
Yes. Right. Over the course of time at HP, yes. Microsoft too, as an example, right? Like there are just some big partners that are integral to, the product we were selling. So anyway, so Intel calls and it was right after the split. And for the first time ever, they decided that they needed to staff up and execute outbound marketing in B2B.
So they had not really had anybody in place
Never.
for business to business to some extent.
Correct.
And so you're probably uniquely positioned for just that,
Yeah.
especially on a global level because of some of your previous experience in being over there as well.
And I think I was the secret decoder ring between the then CMO, who was a consumer PC. He had come from Staples, for example, and was doing big, splashy Jim Parsons commercials and activations, great. And their data center leader, who didn't understand why we would need marketing because they'd never needed it before. And they didn't really know how to talk to each other. And I had done PCs and I had done enterprise servers.
Do you think they built the position specifically for it? Okay.
No.
They knew they wanted to hire somebody and
they needed to hire an outbound marketer for the B2B enterprise space, But by me getting into that role, I could speak the language to the CMO and be a translator because I'd done PC marketing and consumer marketing. So it was great. So what happened was I set up the enterprise team. So I came in and built that. And then it was clearer and clearer and clearer over that year that our overall brand needed to include B2B, and that how we were operating was I was off in this sort of side doing B2B outbound marketing. And then the regular machine of Intel was just this B2C stuff. And they said, but our brand needs to morph. We have to open the aperture of the brand to include not only our powerful PCs, but these B2B technologies and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and virtual reality and drones and Internet of Things.
Everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Does the bong still go with the...
Yes.
So the bong stays?
Bong stays.
The bong stays.
Forever.
And so you've evolved really into that role.
Yeah.
Do you feel like at this point you've kind of built that role to suit where your strengths are? Are you at that point with Intel where you feel like you're able to kind of say, look, this is my opinion on where we need to focus on next? And they
do.
I hate to say they, like it's, some
different
boardroom up at the top of
no, it's
68th Avenue or
it's
something.
It's a great team. Yes. And so I work with the management team, we set our overall company ambitions and strategy, obviously from our CEO. And my job is to go translate that externally into what it means for business outcomes, for example.
What do you love about it right now? What do you love that you're doing right now that because you just got back from India as well, didn't you? Did you just fly in yesterday?
Yesterday or the day before. I'm losing track of time, yes.
Is it the global part of what you're doing that you love?
I do love that.
Is there an element?
But I'll tell you,
I'd love to hear it.
I'm working on the Internet of Things sort of topic area, and it's the most exciting area in the world right now, in my opinion, led by artificial intelligence and the ability for technology to create to help business outcomes in ways it hadn't before. So I don't want to get techie. This is not a technology show, but the point is Intel is enabling compute power to happen in places that it couldn't have happened before, not just in a data center or in the cloud, but right there where the work happens, or like an autonomous vehicle. For example, a server is in the trunk, quote, air quote, it might not be the trunk, but in the car.
Yeah.
And these machines, if you will, cars and manufacturing lines and retail kiosks and all of these device endpoints now have different level of compute power ushered in by Intel, to be able to change how the companies of those products are interacting in the world, and therefore what you and I get as a result of it. So a doctor can now use machine learning and AI algorithms to scan like MRI images or X-rays or things so much faster and can help more patients per hour, as an example.
Meanwhile, my kids are mad, like if they don't get the right VR headset this summer for Christmas. I'm like, I used to use Pong, dude.
Yes, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Atari, yeah. No,
crazy.
That too. But just being able to see how our lives are enhanced, smart city type of, safety with cameras, digital surveillance, but for safety reasons.
Everything.
And
just enhancing our lives, really.
100% in every possible way. And so being in that area right now and being able to usher it in, because it's really just starting to come. This is new technology in new ways that hasn't been explored that much in the world. I've always loved having a global job, the global nature of marketing and a person traveling. Like you said, I just came back from India. I don't know how a global marketer who only sits in the United States can truly understand much about their customer and the needs, and getting out there, meeting with the customers directly, seeing the
you have to
local
see it in person.
teams.
You just can't.
I think so.
Yeah. Which is the beauty of the job that you have. You're getting a chance to do just that.
Exactly.
Well, listen, I told you that flew by fast. We didn't even scratch the surface of the 20 questions I had because we got to talk about basically your journey. And really, sometimes the journey is some of the funnest part to some extent.
Good.
Listen, we were incredibly excited to meet you. This went incredibly fast, and we really, really appreciate it. We appreciate you making a stop back in here. Alyson Griffin, what an incredible story and really an incredible journey. You should be so incredibly proud of yourself and everything you've accomplished.
Thank you.
Male or female, it doesn't matter. You've done amazing work, and the fact that it doesn't matter to me, again, is another step, hopefully, for my daughter in the right direction. She just yelled at me the other day because I was having my son do something outside, and she said, I can do that too.
Awesome.
So then I did turn to her and go, well, if you'd like to get up at 9 a.m, she said, well, no, it's just the point that I could do it. So
Brilliant girl.
listen, that's it. That's the wrap of season 3 of the CMO Suite. Thank you all for joining us so much. Thank you everybody for everybody who helped to make this happen. My family, iHeart, Stacy, and Alyson. Thank you so much for being our last guest of the season. Take us out of the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for hanging out in the CMO Suite. The podcast for marketers who want to be in the know. Presented by Connectivity Holdings.
You're a C-level manager. You shouldn't have to know the difference between behavioral or contextual targeting, but your agency should. Uconnect provides brands and biddable teams direct access to platforms like The Trade Desk, Google, Amazon, Facebook, OTT, and more. Their US-based traders can train your in-house team or provide complete transparency with no minimums and CPM-based service pricing for true transparency. Something Mighty Hive, The Trade Desk, and Centro simply don't offer. Tired of being the smartest one in the room? Reach out to Uconnect today for a free demo. Uconnect, the world's leader in true transparent biddable media.